Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey!
Yeah.
We're back at it today to have some fun talking about the world of geekdom here as we end a very eventful week before Thanksgiving with a lot of news coming out post-strike. The vote is still happening for SAG-AFTRA, so that's still in process, rather. So we will see what happens, but that has not stopped announcements from coming. Certainly a lot of Marvel stuff we're going to get into today, some trailers, some DC stuff as well. But let's introduce ourselves first for those of you who might be new. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, and I was in the Amazon with your mom when she was researching spiders just before she died.
Good. Yes, Ed.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm a television actor and an animation writer, and I will never be able to get a line like that past the blockade of showrunner known as Michael Vogel.
Listen, man.
It does make you question, I mean, we're going to get into it obviously later, but it doesn't make you question, doesn't it, Michael? Like, who's writing this stuff, who's okaying this stuff, and how is it getting
Listen, I applaud them. Because there's bad lines. There's bad lines. And then there's lines that are so bad that they go down in the annals of cinematic history.
I mean, you're wearing a shirt with some people who have spoken some of the worst lines in history that have gone down in history, for sure. Look at those gentlemen right there. Yeah, look at that shirt. That's a great shirt.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. As for mine is from Kohl's. You can go Black Friday, get it $9.99. There you go. All right, let's get into things here today. Initially, we're going to talk about some trailers. We're going to talk about the big Marvel dump. You know, the way the show usually works is each of us brings up a geek news item. We take a break in between, then we take a big break and get into the big topic. But this week, there's so much Marvel stuff. That's basically going to be the back end of the show. We're going to start off with a couple of news stuff that I'm going to throw out to the gentlemen. Then we'll get into some trailers that Shannon McClung is going to lead us through. So just giving you a little bit of a rundown. So let's get into it. And the first thing is that last night, Jason Momoa, who is out here promoting stuff and talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, in case you didn't know, we're only, 3-4 weeks away from this thing coming out, which is kind of crazy to think about. But he was on Jimmy Fallon, late night with Jimmy Fallon, and he was asked questions about Aquaman and what's going to happen with his future. And he said, quote, This is kind of the end of the DC universe. There will always be a place for me at DC, though. Those guys kind of like me. So a lot of people are running with this and saying that this is essentially the end of him as Aquaman. This is the low-key admission that this is the end of him as Aquaman, because saying that DC universe and this is a new one. And this is basically him confirming, isn't it, gentlemen, that he's done with Aquaman. This is it. And he's going to become Lobo. But if you're a Warner Brothers exec or marketing exec, aren't you pounding your head into the wall right now after Momoa says this stuff on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon? It's different you do it for a small website, but Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, this is a national program, dare I say global program. What do you think about this? Mikey, Shannon, I'll go to you first. You're our resident Aquaman fan.
I mean, the idea that Aquaman was not going to be kind of front and center of the new DC was not a surprise. To your question about marketing executives and whatnot, I mean, even what was it, a year ago, when Momoa came out, more than a year ago, saying like, oh, thank you, James Gunn. Thank you, Peter Safran. Like, what did that mean? I think at the time they were probably like, man, what are you doing? Like, don't do that.
Hold on. Shannon, hold on. What is Vogel Poppins doing up there? What the hell are you doing up there?
Listen, man,
how his camera gets so dirty. It is a shock.
Doing
sometimes. Listen, man. Listen. If you're listening to this, Shannon, I'm glad you're listening to Shannon. I had to clean my camera. It was driving me crazy. It was a little fuzzy. If you're watching this, you can see that I'm much clearer now. I don't know, man. Because my computer. You know why, Shannon? Because my computer is always working. Because it's I'm writing all day long, I'm working all day long, I'm a busy guy. I don't get to just like shut my computer and go and play with Raptors at Universal. I gotta make the monies.
So, audience, what Vogel's saying is that he is a heavy mouth breather when he writes, which is why his camera is constantly getting so fogged up.
You're supposed to write on the computer, not write on the computer. Anyway, all right, go ahead, Shannon.
Listen, anyways, back to Momoa. Back to Momoa, everybody.
Yeah. Look, I imagine when he put that video out, even though I imagine he wanted to say, thanks to James Gunn and Peter Safran. I imagine the marketing execs, even then, were kind of like, buddy, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But now, I mean, again, it's not a shock. I mean, James Gunn did kind of say the characters that were carrying over, and Jason Momoa's Arthur Curry was not one of them. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know if they really care, but I think back then it definitely was just like, no, Jason, no Moa, please don't stop spoiling stuff.
Michael, what are your thoughts on this? Because I mean, they haven't officially come out and said it, and maybe they think, well, it's a program, it's a website. We don't have to officially say anything, because if we do officially say it, that means everybody's going to know. Do you think they're kind of playing both sides of the fence here with this?
You mean like not responding to what he said, you mean?
Yeah, no. Not just coming out officially saying this is the last Aquaman movie with Jason Momoa.
They're not going to say it before the movie comes out. That's true. Like it's like the worst kept secret. Like, we all know it. But they are holding hope out against hope that people in middle America that don't have the internet are going to be like, oh, another Aquaman movie. I guess this guy's going places. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. But yeah, I mean, they're not going to come out and officially say this is the end until the movie has come out. I think we're going to see what the box office of Aquaman 2 is the weekend it comes out. And a week later, James Gunn and DC James Gunn on Twitter or DC officially will be like, all right, you know what? This is the end of that version of the DC universe, and everything from this point forward, get excited, get hype. Like, there'll probably be some other big announcements to get people, like, I think they're just waiting to, wash that stinky fish smell off of themselves with Aquaman 2 and just keep going.
Come on.
The other thing, though, I mean, and you mentioned this too, like, the other part of everyone's response when he's like, there'll always be a place for me there. They really like me.
Yeah.
This whole Lobo thing smells a lot like Tom Cruise in Multiverse of Madness to me. Like, this is one of those, the internet decided at some point that Jason Momoa should be Lobo. And then anything that James Gunn or Jason Momoa or anybody says that is vaguely in the realm of, I hope I get to stick around, they like me, we love Jason, we would love to continue working with him, the internet explodes with, this is proof that Lobo is happening. And I'm like, nobody has said this except the internet. This is the internet talking to itself. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. The internet talked to itself for a while and said Rosario Dawson would be a great Ahsoka, and here we are. So sometimes the internet talks to itself and it happens, but the Lobo stuff is still just in the internet talking to itself. Tom Cruise is going to be Iron Man phase of
Mikey
of this part of it.
As the True Blue Superman fan, what are you going to do January 1st when they say Jason Momoa is no longer Arthur Curry? Now meet our Lex Luthor.
Listen,
I dig it.
Listen, Jason Momoa is a very charming actor, but as far as range goes, I don't think he's playing an evil genius anytime soon.
That's a fair point. All right. Let's move on to some more DC news real quick. This also broke a couple of days ago here. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is the new Supergirl film that James Gunn is working on. Let's stay in the James Gunn Gunniverse here. They have tapped Anna Nagura, who is an actress and a playwright, to write DC Studios' feature. You can see her, I think, on the Vampire Diaries. She's also written, she was on the Michael J. Fox show, Blacklist, but she's known for penning the 2022 off-Broadway play Which Way to the Stage, and is currently working on an adaptation of Alice Sola Kim's Mother's Lock Up Your Daughters, which is set up at Warner Brothers right now. But this is where this is happening. Anna Nagura kind of taking over here. And from what I understand, she had originally been kind of tapped to write the Supergirl film when it was previously going to be spun off of the Flash film with Sasha Calle under Hamada. Now she's being brought back now that the writer's strike has been settled. The actor strike is in motion to be settled possibly. And she's been brought back to write the Supergirl film, and this one's going to see her with Crypto, and they're going to be a girl and her dog basically dealing with this stuff. So, Michael, what are your thoughts on this? Do you know Anna Nagura's work, and what's your thinking of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, possibly maybe borrowing some stuff off the Tom Kane run. What do you think? Or Tom King.
I'm not that familiar with her work, but I mean, I'm glad for any writer in the shifting sands of like all of this IP and everything's happening. I'm glad for any writer that was attached to a project, and then that project went away through no fault of their own because the entire DC universe shifted. Who gets to come back to that character? Like, it sounds like she had. I mean, just me knowing nothing, but it just sounds like this is someone who probably has a real affinity for the character. And when they were talking about Sasha Kaye and like coming off of The Flash and where that character was going to go, came in with like a great take, and they were like, "You're great." And then when they shifted gears to this new version of Supergirl, James Gunn and Peter Safran were like, "Look, she still seems like she fits the bill." So I'm happy for her. I'm very happy for this movie. I've heard, you know, I mean, I don't know if it's like official confirmed, but that Sasha Kaye not continuing. That like we're
it
pretty
seems
much
like it's not going to happen. Yeah,
that the Flash is a sinking ship and everyone attached to it is going down, except Michael Keaton, who will be fine. But what I'm most excited for is this. As far as Supergirl stories go, this story is very Supergirl centric. It's not just another, hey, look, it's Cal's cousin. This is female Superman. This is a really cool story. This story opens, and again, however much they're going to adapt for the movie, this story opens with Supergirl on a faraway planet in a solar system with a red sun so that she can get drunk on her 21st birthday. Like that's the opening of this comic run that Tom King did. And it's just all about Supergirl going on this super intergalactic journey through space. And it's very weird and it's very cool. Yeah. And it's very, if you are a fan of the super family of Superman, Supergirl, Superboy, all of them, it's a very, Tom King knows what he's doing. And so taking that as the basis and developing that into a movie that's going to sort of reintroduce Supergirl to the world, I think is really, really cool. And I'm really excited about it.
Okay. Shannon, your thoughts on Anna Nagura coming in? I hope I'm saying that right too, in case Anna's, you know, possibly stumbling upon the show. Anna Nagura, any thoughts on her writing this and Tom King's run? Do you like that they're using that as the basis for this Supergirl approach?
I mean, I definitely, I don't know her work right off the top of my head. I mean, I definitely would have seen her because I watched the Michael J. Fox show that was on NBC.
She's probably one of the daughters, I would imagine. Yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, to echo what Vogel was saying, the fact that, I mean, she you know, she has a respectable acting career, and she writes plays as well, you know, which just like looking her up on IMDb, like the plays aren't going to be up there. The only 2 writing credits she has are Supergirl, which I imagine was just put on there very recently, and there was a short that she had written. So the fact that, you know, when a film or a television series can get made, you know, the path to make it can be very windy and twisty. And the fact that one iteration she was doing, what a huge coup that probably was for her, and then to find out that it was going away, as Vogel already said, through no fault of her own. It was a you know, tectonic studio shift, and now that they're bringing her back, I'm like, what a victory for her. I mean, that's a great. You hear a lot of crappy stories about getting this close to having something made or getting this close. The fact that she's getting a second at bat. That's just a great story. In terms of, like, I haven't read Tom King's run, but just the way Vogel pitched it, that sounds really good. And it's going to be an interesting world. It's going to be an interesting DC world that James Gunn is presenting us with, because it is not doing the Marvel approach. It is a world that is, you know, the train has already left the station. This is a world of superheroes. So it's going to be very interesting.
And I think you'd be a fool not to market towards younger female audience. I mean, like, Euphoria is successful because of that. TikTok, they've shown the age level of people who go on that. So why not go to what seems to be like an untapped resource, are these young female film goers, and get them into your universe by having someone they can identify with, like this Supergirl. So I think it's smart on so many levels, and I want to see if it ends up being a good movie for sure. A couple more things real quick. Superman.
To be fair, given your job, you're going to see it whether it's a good movie or not. You're going. You're going no matter what, buddy. You need to give that out of theater reaction.
That's true. That's fair. That's actually a fair point for sure. Let's move on to Superman Legacy. They have cast a Venezuelan actress, Maria Gabriela de Faria, as the engineer She is going to be one of the characters here in The Authority, Angela Spica, who can modify her liquid machinery body to form different types of weapons. A couple of my sources told me that we were going to be getting more Superman Legacy casting news here, but I didn't. But I was led to believe that it'd be a bigger thing than this. But do you think there's a reason they're casting her first, making the engineer being one of the first people they cast in this? Because she may end up being the leader of the Authority or co-lead of the Authority. What do you guys think about the casting and why she's the one that's one of the first people to be cast here in the Authority?
I mean, I think Terrence Howard was the first cast member announced for Iron Man, so I don't think that I don't think the fact that she's I think she's the first one that maybe her deal was done and they wanted to announce it. Not knowing a ton about the Authority, I mean, the powers as you just described them, I'm like that sounds pretty cool. Right. I mean, I had heard Lobo was going to be the villain in Superman Legacy, so the fact that they haven't announced that yet, I'm kidding. Oh boy. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about this movie coming together. I mean, I think everyone was kind of taken off guard when they announced, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner and the cast of Hawkgirl and Metamorpho. So bring it on. Like again, this is a world that is already up and running, so I'm excited to find out more about it.
Yeah, she's obviously not the first person to be cast in Superman Legacy, but the first person from the Authority to be cast in Superman Legacy and maybe this Authority film that they're possibly spinning off. Michael, your thoughts on this casting here and this character?
I mean, the thing, I think she's good casting for the engineer. I think the engineer is a very cool character. Shannon is right. Like her powers are very cool and they're going to look really, really cool on the big screen. The Authority is a wild card to me. Like Shannon said, we know that James Gunn is not doing the MCU. This is not an origin story of superheroes. This is a world where all the heroes are already, doing their thing. What the Authority represents and the type of heroes that they are is in a lot of ways the antithesis of what Superman represents.
Right.
And so the fact that the most interesting thing to me about this casting is that it means at least her, if not more members of the Authority are going to be in Superman Legacy. Yes. And the Authority, the reason the Authority was so popular when they came out is they are like the Justice League. If the Justice League was like, we don't give any shits, we're going to kill everybody if they're bad.
Yeah.
Like they are like a take note, like they're like, we're not going to like, we don't pull punches. We all like, we're not going to kill. Like they're the opposite of Superman in a lot of ways. And I think that her showing up, it either means the Authority is going to have a pretty big role in Superman Legacy, or you're using Superman Legacy to start spinning off these other things. But it's starting to really feel like whatever's going on in Superman Legacy, James Gunn's got a game plan, which I think is interesting. Now, maybe it's going to be a horrible game plan and we're going to be like, this was too much too fast, but it's starting to feel like he's not just doing, let me tell the best possible Superman story I can tell. He's like, let me tell a Superman story that launches this giant story that I'm planning, which kind of makes me excited.
One more thing I want to touch on. And I don't want to seem weird about this, but I spoke about this on the Hot Mic last night. One of the rumors from one of my sources told me that, speaking of James Gunn, that they're looking at DC and James Gunn are possibly looking at Jody Hill to be the director and co-writer with James Gunn writing some of the episodes for the Booster Gold series. So when you hear Jody Hill, Booster Gold, James Gunn, does this seem like the right combination in your mind if you were to see this announced in the next few weeks or months, gentlemen?
I mean, I'm really curious to see what Danny McBride looks like as Booster Gold, if that's the case.
Speaking of the internet has cast Glenn Howerton as Booster Gold. So I don't know how that's going to, or Glenn Powell.
I think that's a great idea. Jody Hill is not the type of director I would associate with a big splashy superhero property. But a lot of guys weren't, and a lot of folks weren't either, and went on to have incredible careers. So at this point, having sight unseen, I think we just right now have to say, in Gunn we trust, and cross our fingers.
Right, Mike. He's done Righteous Gemstones. He did an episode of Peacemaker, Vice Principals, and Eastbound and Down, and Observe and Report. So very unusual director with an unusual sense of humor, Mike.
But like that's kind of like, I mean, to counter what Shannon said, Booster Gold is not a flashy superhero. Like Booster Gold is a fucking janitor that stole some tech and came back in time and pretended to be a superhero. Like when you think about the vibe of a lot of those other things, like Righteous Gemstones, like that's kind of the right vibe for a Booster Gold series. I mean, Booster Gold is a sham. I mean, he's kind of ridiculous. That's what he is. And so I think that leaning into the ridiculousness and the humor, I mean, looking at like what they did with Peacemaker, James Gunn did a great job of doing a show that was very funny, very tongue-in-cheek, very over the top, but still actually managed to have some emotional weight to it by the end. Like, so I think that Booster Gold kind of falls in the same category of like, janitor in the future says, you know what, if I take this jetpack and some of these other things and go back, I can pretend that I'm a superhero and wow everybody, but he's really like a giant fraud. So I think that it makes sense to me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see who's when it all comes down. So we'll see. All right, we'll just take a quick break. That's all the DC news, and let's get into some trailers here from Shannon right after we come back here.
With trailers.
Sure.
Oh, we got a few doozies. To start off, we got our full trailer for part 1 of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon for Netflix, A Child of Fire. We've been talking about this one a lot. This is Zack Snyder's was going to be sort of his Star Wars movie, but it's kind of Seven Samurai, his intergalactic Seven Samurai. Visually, like every Zack Snyder trailer, visually this thing is off the charts. It looks incredible. He's assembled, I think a very unique cast. But the vibe from the trailer, for me, it's a little sci-fi pretentious. But that doesn't mean it doesn't look cool. But I'm gonna turn it over to my cohorts first. Johnny, let's start with you as our resident Zack Snyder lover. What'd you think of Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire?
I just went and started lifting weights. No, listen, I liked it. I really did. Did a reaction for it on Sunday. If you can get me off the couch to do a reaction video on Sunday, you really dropped something that I was interested in. And the first trailer felt very derivative, and I understood the criticisms. This trailer felt a little less like that, a little more like you're seeing Zack's vision, Zack's point of view, Zack's approach to this. We're getting more of the story, obviously very similar to Seven Samurai stuff, except there's a twist. One of the samurai is Jason Bourne. So I like that twist in all of this. So for me, this gets me a little more interested, a little more excited. But visually, he's already got me on board. It's the story. Can you keep me connected? And I felt Sofia Boutella came out of this trailer convincing me that she might be ready to go to a next level, not the highest level, but the next level as an actress in carrying a franchise like this. And she was the one I had the biggest question about being the lead in a film like this. I know Zack can direct a film like this. I know the cinematography, special effects, battle sequences, they're all going to work in a Zack film. Can you get the right lead? Can you tell a good story? Those are the concerns I always have with Zack Snyder films. And it feels like coming out of this trailer, I have more faith in that possibility.
Mikey? Counterpoint?
Interesting. With the teaser trailer for Rebel Moon, there was some concern that it was going to be a little derivative. And with the full trailer, it certainly feels very derivative.
How dare you?
So, well, yeah, you said it yourself. It's like, hey, so it's like Star Wars, but like there's an empire, but then she's on a faraway planet like Luke, but it's like Seven Samurai, but she's also Jason Bourne, but we're going to do some shots that look like 300, and then we're going to have like this giant spider. Okay. It looks cool. Like it looks visually interesting, but it looks like a Zack Snyder movie. So, I did talk to somebody who saw it already.
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, how is it?" And they said, "Well, it's a Zack Snyder movie." And I was like, all right, well, there you go. And I think that it, like most Zack Snyder projects, I mean, like I remember when I saw that Man of Steel trailer, I thought the second coming of Superman was here. I was like, oh my God, this is everything I ever wanted. Then I saw the movie and I wanted to give it back. And I think it's going to be the same here. I think like Rebel Moon is a great trailer, but boy, oh boy, like we'll see how it goes.
Fine. All right.
Yeah, I mean this one with Zack Snyder films, even like Army of the Dead, which for the most part I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's interesting him going with Netflix because like his stuff is made to be seen on a real big screen. And
100%.
Granted, folks have giant televisions now. Nothing is going to replace a movie screen. Which this one is getting a limited theatrical release on December 15th before it hits Netflix on the 22nd. Yeah, I mean like Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead was a fun ride. So that's kind of what I'm hoping from this. And that's not the vibe I'm getting. It looks very self-serious, maybe with the exception of Charlie Hunnam. But I do agree, Johnny. Sofia Boutella, she looks awesome kicking ass, whether it's in Kingsman or even in that terrible Mummy movie, she still looked cool. So hopefully the movie is as cool as Sofia Boutella looks kicking ass. So again, that one comes out limited theatrically on December 15th before it hits Netflix on the 22nd. Our second trailer is our first look at the new animated Garfield movie. So last year, there were a couple of casting announcements that people were kind of scratching their heads like, huh? And coincidentally, they both had to do with Chris Pratt. One, he was Mario, and the other, he was the orange cat who hates Mondays but loves lasagna, Garfield. Super Mario Brothers, it turned out pretty well. You forget after his ascension to superstardom, like, oh, that's right, Chris Pratt's a really good voice actor. Has it repeated itself with Garfield? Let's get my cohort's take on this first. Mikey, what'd you think of our first look at Garfield?
There are other actors, man. There's other actors out there. Like I don't hate Chris Pratt, but I do think we've got a lot of Chris Pratt in the world right now, and maybe like a little bit of less Chris Pratt will go a long way. There's nothing in his performance in the Garfield trailer that made me go, oh God, like I'm not so tied to Garfield that I'm like, wow, you really ruined Garfield for me. Like it's fine. I'm way more interested in Samuel L. Jackson as Garfield's dad. That was what really got me going in the trailer. That meme of going around, or that tweet going around where it's like Samuel L. Jackson's giant cat next to Garfield and it says, lasagna, motherfucker, do you eat it? If that's not in the movie, I'm going to be really upset. The Garfield movie looks weird. Like the Chris Pratt, the Sam Jackson playing his dad as a giant cat who's like, I'm going to teach you about life on the streets. Like it's a swing. We'll see if it's a swing. Is it a home run or a swing and a miss? We'll see. But I will definitely go see it, and I will definitely roll my eyes at Chris Pratt several times.
Well, I don't have the snobbery as my friend Michael Vogel has, so I don't mind anime. No. I agree with you. It's weird, but I also think how else do you do an animated Garfield when we've seen it multiple times? I used to watch that series growing up, which I really enjoyed. I think in the 90s or late 80s or 90s, it was so much fun to see that series. And I loved reading it in the paper as well. Kids back in the old days when they had papers, and seeing the most recent one, the Bill Murray ones were fine. They weren't great, but they were fine. Certainly, it could be enjoyable for the family. This one feels like, well, how do we get people in the theater, appeal to a younger kind of point of view, and be kind of out there? So they tried something, and Sam Jackson is who you can still rely on to come in to bring some interesting energy. The dad situation, did not see that coming, but it makes sense because that's going to make it universal. And I hear you about Chris Pratt. Certainly had a number of friends tweet about their frustration. That's Chris Pratt again. But need I show you the box office numbers of Super Mario Brothers? So you go like, well, yes, I had enough of him. But then again, look at the fact the last time out, he made $1 billion. And you can say, well, it's Super Mario, all this kind of stuff. the film still made $1 billion.
It's super, yeah. That's listen. When I worked at Hasbro, that was like the Michael Bay excuse. Anytime I was like, guys, I don't think Michael Bay ultimately is the guy. They're like, you can't argue with that box office, and I'm like, that box office is because people want to see Optimus Prime turn into a truck. That's what people want. Michael Bay is not the thing. Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Princess Peach got them into the theaters, not Chris Pratt.
You're an insane person, because I will show you every Michael Bay movie without him as the director, Transformers wise, and see the box office versus. So it is Michael Bay getting them in the theaters. You're insane. We'll have to agree to disagree. But Shannon, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the beginning of this trailer is really sweet. I mean, this was not what I was expecting.
That's fair. That's
from a Garfield movie. I thought the beginning was adorable. Come to find out, the voice of John Arbuckle is Nicholas Hoult. And it also has a really impressive cast, along with Samuel L. Jackson and superstar delight Chris Pratt. We also have Brett Goldstein, Harvey Guillen, Cecily Strong, Bing Rings, Bowen Yang. So this has a very, very stacked cast. Whether or not, again, like the moment that Garfield was moving his mouth and talking, I was like, he's not thinking okay, I got it now.
Yeah. No, I agree. You don't really think Garfield when you're seeing him say the voice. I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't, but again, this is coming out Memorial Day, so they clearly they think they've got something, or they think they've got something that at least people are going to go see. But we will all find out when Chris Pratt in Garfield comes out May 24th, and that brings us to our last trailer. Oh, Nelly, our first look at Madame Web. The Sony, they do not have, this is not the acronym that they used anymore, but at one point the Sony Spider-Man films were going to be called the SPUMC, the Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters. If there is something that they have done really successfully, it has been creating memes. I mean, take your pick from Venom. With Morbius, it's Morbin time, and with Madame Web, we've got when he was researching spiders with my mom before she died in the Amazon. I'm probably not saying it right. I'm just gonna throw it to you all first. Johnny, let's start with you. What did you think of our first look at Madame Web?
This one got me out of bed. Like, it was 6:15 or something. I woke up in the morning and I was like, just, I like to turn on Twitter when I wake up, just kind of catch up on stuff and read articles. And god damn, I saw the trailer. I'm like, all right, I got to get up. I got to splash water on my face. I got to get in the office and do a reaction to this, because Dakota Johnson, I like S.J. Clarkson as a director. I like Sydney Sweeney. I have never watched Euphoria, but her other projects that she's done since, like Reality, I was really a big fan of. So I'm like, okay, let's see what more we got here. And then the trailer started, and you can watch me watch this. I did a reaction, and you see my face just go like, just fucking drop as the trailer keeps going. And I just keep going, okay. And I only got excited when we see the spider villain, which is, I guess, their kind of roundabout way of introducing a spider type character into this film without it actually being Spider-Man, even though from what I understand, that character in the comics never wore a Spider-Man suit. So it was just so confusing. But yeah, the line deliveries, I mean, Dakota, and I said this in my reaction, Dakota is one of those actresses that if she's not into it, you're not going to get a good line delivery. And you can tell from the line deliveries through a majority of this, that although she claims it's her dream project, it was just like not good at all. And it was just, at the end of the day, I just was like, God damn it. Why? Like, why does it have to be this terrible? But yeah, the cheesiness, the memes, all of it, it just looks so fucking bad. And I'm surprised. It's not even Venom bad. It's like lower than Venom bad. And that's a shame.
Well, Mikey, I'm assuming you're all gassed up here. What'd you think of Madame Web?
Sony just got so excited about making Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man that they didn't stop to think about whether or not they should make Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. Guys. I mean, every one of these, with the possible exception of, I think Kraven as a movie is a dumb idea, but that trailer was actually like, all right, I get what this is, and it looks well made. Aside from that shot where he's staring at spiders. This is like, Venom is bad. Morbius is bad. This is like a low point.
Yeah.
Like, this is I don't understand how this trailer came out and everybody at Sony didn't look at the internet and go, "Oh no, what did we do?" Like, unless they're like, "Hey, no publicity is bad publicity." Like, I don't know what they're even thinking. It's such a bad trailer. It's just awful. And then this is what really sent me. So apparently the rumors are that this movie is like Spider-Man Terminator, and the bad guy is showing up to kill Peter Parker's parents, so Spider-Man never happens, and that this team of girls need to like stop him so that Spider-Man can happen. Now, I don't know if that's true at all. That's just the rumors that I'm hearing, and that sounds so bad that it makes me think it's probably true. Like it's like, okay, so like then I like rewatched the trailer after I knew that was the thing, and she's like, yeah, he sees the future and we need to stop this. And that just brings up a whole bunch of other questions for me, given that we've seen Spider-Man on posters or he's been mentioned in some of these other movies that are supposed to be interconnected. So that's neither here nor there, because maybe that's not what the movie is, but like that feels like the type of thing that they would do. I just can't with these movies.
Yeah, again, Dakota Johnson, I have seen Dakota Johnson put in some decent performances.
Yes, agreed.
I thought her very brief appearance in The Social Network, I thought she was really, really good. I thought she was good in Peanut Butter Falcon. To me, she is not a lead. Her in a lead role, especially the footage from this is a sleeping pill with legs. I just cannot. It is so hard to watch because I think, as you said, John, when she's not into something, it's very apparent. And again, we've seen some bad trailers cut over the years, but you try to put your best foot forward with a trailer. And it's like, if that was your best foot forward, this movie might not be so good. But you know what? Come Valentine's Day 2024, I bet we're all going to go see it because that's when it's coming out, February 14th, 2024, Madame Web.
Well, look,
I'm gonna go into that theater so drunk. Just going in drunk.
As Michael said, there are things that I have to watch for the job that I do, but there are things you dread about having to watch for the job you do, and this now goes into that category because I know it's going to be painful. Just like watching that second Venom movie was fucking painful, and so I have no like excitement at all in seeing this now, and especially with what Michael just said. Jesus.
And look, I might be completely wrong. That's the rumors that I've heard. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. Like someone's like, and Adam Scott might be Ben Parker. Like I'm like, oh,
Ben Parker, right.
I will say that I'm a little bit excited to go see it. I remember when I went to go see. I'll tell you why. I remember when we went to go see The Day After Tomorrow in theaters. And The Day After Tomorrow was a bad movie. But about halfway through the movie, the entire audience at the Grove where I saw it, we all gave up at the same time.
Yeah.
We all threw in the towel and said it was about the time that ice started chasing Jake Gyllenhaal down the hall. Like the cold weather chased him down the hall. We're like, oh, this movie's fucking dumb. And we all started laughing and we all started cheering and everybody was like, fuck it, this is a disaster. I want to go see this movie. And when she says that line about he was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders before she died, and the audience stands up and cheers and applauds, I'm there for it. I'm going to be on my 5th rosé. It'll be great.
Just throwing gummy spiders at the screen. Oh, God. Yeah. God help us all. But we'll see. We'll see at the end of the day. And this must feel like terrible. Like if you're Dakota Johnson, you had no idea you were going to become a meme overnight from this trailer. And this was a great opportunity because obviously the Marvels, whatever you feel about the Marvels, it's a divisive film right now, female power-led film. If you had dropped a great trailer like this with 4 female leads and all of this, you could have captured a little bit of the anti-Marvels kind of stuff and ridden that to some sort of hype for your movie, but quite the opposite. You united everybody in absolute disgust for this trailer. All right. Anyway, Shannon, sorry. What are we going to break? What's up?
Oh yeah, that was it.
Okay,
I finished 5 minutes ago.
let's take a quick break. We're going to jump into all the big Marvel news here right after this. All right. Batten down the hatches. Let's get into it. All right. So a lot of stuff broke this week. Let's deal with the big stuff. Is this the beginning of the segment? The rumors have come around, and the deadlines reported this, of course, from Daniel RPK. He first reported this. Daniel Rickman there doing great work as a scooper, and he said that Pedro Pascal is in talks to play Reed Richards. And then my Hot Mic co-host Jeff Snyder tweeted out that he, from his sources, who also confirmed the Pascal stuff 2 weeks ago. I knew that 2 weeks ago. Jeff had DM'd me that, but he couldn't post it because of issues. That Javier Bardem is please, I'll pick up all the names you drop. Javier Bardem is going to be playing Galactus in this Fantastic Four. So, gentlemen, A, do we like this idea? B, do you think this is happening? And C, are we ready to believe that it is Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Evan Moss-Backrack, and oh god, I forget the other person's name who's going to be part of this as the foursome for Fantastic Four? Your thoughts? Who wants to go first?
There have been so many names linked with Reed Richards. At one point, it was definitely Adam Driver. Then at one point, it was definitely Penn Badgley. Then at one point, it was definitely Glenn Howerton. Then it was John Krasinski. I mean, there have been so many names that I think at this point, it's sort of like, okay, when they officially announce it, that's when I'll get excited. That being said, Pedro Pascal is a great actor. Is he someone I ever thought of for this? No, like he never popped in my head for Reed Richards. But he never popped in my head for Joel from The Last of Us either. And he was dynamite. So if this is the guy that they end up going with, again, I think Pedro Pascal is fantastic. Whether or not this is ultimately the foursome, Evan Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, I'm like, fantastic. Like, all you got to do is watch The Bear and be like, yeah, that guy can play a curmudgeon like nobody's business. Vanessa Kirby, another fantastic performer. And everyone, if Sue Storm is essentially the lead of this film, I mean, Vanessa Kirby can certainly carry a movie. And the guy from Stranger Things who played Quinn. Eddie, Joseph Quinn. Yeah, he's great. Does a fantastic American accent. To be in one season of a show and to stand out the way that he did in a show that was already a standout, you've got chops. Javier Bardem, I have no doubt he'll be a great Galactus, but I was really kind of hoping he would be Dr. Doom. And my guess is that Galactus is probably, if they're putting Galactus in the first movie, Galactus might be a one and done. And Bardem is a guy that I would like to see more and more and more. I mean, he's the type of performer that I think could be your antagonist for several phases. So again, I have no doubt he'll be great. But I think I was more attached to him being Dr. Doom.
Yeah, Mikey, they went, the rumors are that they had gone to Adam Driver and gone to Jake Gyllenhaal and that their price was too high, kind of like Emma Stone as well for Sue Storm. And they just kind of moved towards Pedro. And one of the reasons might have been, and this is what some people have reported, that Kevin didn't want an all-white team. And once he'd lined up those three other actors, he had a little more latitude to go and get Pedro Pascal. So your thoughts on this possibility and Javier Bardem as Galactus?
Well, first of all, as we're talking about this, I realized that I'm a complete hypocrite because I, a few minutes ago, was talking about how we've got enough Chris Pratt and we don't need more Chris Pratt. And then with this, I'm like, you can literally put Pedro Pascal in everything and I'm fine. He can, like, let him voice every character in every Disney movie for the next 5 years and I'm fine. Like, he can just keep going. I think this is the cast.
Yeah.
I think it is. Shannon's right. We've had so many names. We've had so many maybes. This not only is it like it's about time, like Marvel like it's about time, they need to get moving. The strike is over. They got to get Fantastic Four going. It's about time for us to finally hear the cast. This cast feels like the right cast. Like if this is the foursome, I'm very excited. Yeah. And the internet seems very excited. You know, in general, like when the Pedro Pascal stuff hit the other day and the internet blew up, there was not a lot of, oh God, really? Oh, I don't know. He's not my Reed. Like people were like, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah. And just with this whole cast, like that foursome, you're like, everything that Shannon said about each of them is true. And the four of nobody outweighs anybody else. Like I love Emma Stone. Right. Like I think she's great, but like if she was Sue Storm, like there's a level of stardom. It's like, and this foursome looks like, even though Pedro Pascal is really, really big right now, they feel like the right balance. So I'm super down. Javier Bardem, I don't think that Marvel is ever going to do a one and done Galactus. First of all, like I don't think that's what maybe he's the Galactus in the multiverse in another place and he's going to come back around, but you're not going to like, they've fucked up Fantastic Four so many times and they fucked up Galactus and turned him into a big fucking cloud in the Fox movie. Like Galactus is a huge deal in the Marvel universe. They're not going to be like, here's our villain. So I don't think that's going to happen. Sure, Shannon. Sure. Yeah, but overall, I think this is good. Like all of this sounds good to me.
I lean towards Michael on the Galactus thing. I think they're bringing Javier because they want him to be someone that'll appear over multiple movies. And I like him because I think Javier is a fantastic villain. Even in that one scene in Collateral, he is chilling. And we've seen him be, obviously, in No Country for Old Men, be a chilling villain. But also he can be a little tenderhearted, as we saw in The Little Mermaid. Whether you like the movie or not, I liked him in the movie. And he's an incredible actor. People forget about things like Beautiful and these other films that he did that really kind of solidified him as an incredible actor. There was a recent film a couple of years ago where he played the boss of this company. I think it's in Spanish, and he has to kind of figure out how to transition these things. He was great in that. So like these are these things that you see with Javier. So you bring in that kind of weight, right? Then on the other side, you bring in someone like Pedro Pascal, which I think is the right choice. I think you're right, Mike. I think this is absolutely the family, and people. Well, until they announce it, obviously people aren't going to 100% accept it, but start accepting it because I think this is the family. And Pedro is a great choice because if Pedro has shown us anything over the last couple of years, is that he's that unique male lead that doesn't have to be the male lead. And it's really great. Like with Bella Ramsey playing essentially a little bit of just the co-male lead, but she's a little bit ahead of him in The Last of Us. In the last season of The Mandalorian, Katie Sackhoff, a little bit. Yes, I know it was someone else physically in the suit, but it was Pedro's voice. He has no problem sitting a little bit slightly in the background to the female lead. And if this is going to be focused on Sue Storm, not necessarily be Sue Storm only, but focused on Sue Storm as the kind of lead in this, then it makes sense to cast someone like Pedro who can stand on his own and support the female lead. So it's smart. And Evan Moss Backrack, he's not going to take attention away from you. This is smart. Joseph Quinn, also not a guy that's going to overcome. So you make great points here, Michael. So to me, I like this combo. And let me go ahead. Yeah.
No. Oh, not just to double down on what Shannon said. You're right, but it's not just that they all are like the right level of like, oh, none of one's going to overshadow. To Shannon's point, every single one of these four A+ actors.
Yes,
5
agreed.
if you count Javi. Like just the acting level of these people. Like this isn't we cast these people because they're big names and they're gonna get people in the seats. This is we cast 4 really, really strong performers.
Yeah. So let me swing back to the Doctor Doom thing that Shannon was mentioning. From what I understand, they're trying to get Gosling. That is their number one choice, is Gosling to play Doctor Doom. The 3 other names that I've heard is Jason Clarke, which I don't know if that would be the smart move, and Josh Hartnett, and possibly Ralph Fiennes. So of those 4, who would you want to see as Doctor Doom, or do you not want to see any of them as Doctor Doom?
I am not a Josh Hartnett fan, so I would
after Oppenheimer.
Even after Oppenheimer. No, okay. I would want to remove him off the table as quickly as possible. I mean, of the ones that you mentioned, I guess Ralph Fiennes. Okay. But None of those choices get me as excited as Javier Bardem.
Fair enough. Mike?
Ray Fiennes is kind of the obvious choice. He has like the gravitas that you think of, but Doom is really supposed to be sort of a contemporary of Reed's. So like you put Ray Fiennes next to Pedro Pascal and you're sort of like, I don't listen. I already said what I said on Twitter. I know Oscar Isaac is already Moon Knight, but you look at him and Pedro Pascal together in any interview, and I'm like, fucking make him Dr. Doom. I will get like Moon Knight. Let's just put him in the background for a little while. Like wait till we see, but like give me an Oscar Isaac as Dr. Doom, and him and Reed can be flirty as fuck in every movie that they're in, and I'm like, I'm here for it. That's what I want.
As if you don't want to drive the Marvel fans crazy even more by having that. But yes, go
exactly. But no, I just think that. Look, I don't know what they're planning for Dr. Doom, and I don't know if Dr. Doom is going to step in and kind of pick up the Kang slack, given like all the news that's going around and them shifting things around. But I think that casting someone that you think feels like Dr. Doom is the opposite of what you should do. Like, give me a real big surprise and give me a Doom like I've not seen before. So I don't really know who that is. I don't know what it is, but like when you said the list, I automatically went Ray Fiennes, and then I was like, that's why it shouldn't be Ray Fiennes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, absolutely does make. And plus, he's already done it with Voldemort. I don't need him to be Dr. Doom, in my opinion. And I agree with you, Mike. They're supposed to be contemporaries, and then maybe playing a love triangle thing, possibly as an angle. So you want to get someone that could. And Ryan Gosling, wouldn't that be someone that would make anybody jealous, including Pedro Pascal? So
again, I think we say this every week when we're talking about all the Marvel news, but if you go read the more recent Secret Wars, which you should, a love triangle between Dr. Doom, Reed, and Sue being established very early on would be very, very effective as an emotional arc for Sue Storm when you get to Secret Wars.
Yeah, see? So that could be really interesting to play with as well. Well, let's move on to the other Marvel news, and that is Destin Daneil Crettin is leaving Avengers Kang Dynasty, or has been moved off, depending on what your point of view is on this, because he says he wants to focus on other projects like Shang-Chi 2 and the Wonder Man series. So my question to you both is, A, do you buy that these are the reasons that he left? And B, does this mean... Is this the first real kind of indication that we are moving away from the Kang Dynasty or in Kang completely, and they're going to change the title of this film? What are your thoughts, Mikey? What do you think of this?
You know, I kind of, and I have no reason to believe one way or the other. Like, I haven't heard anything that makes me think one thing or the other, but I kind of feel like it's amicable. Yeah. Like, I kind of feel like whatever story he was excited about directing, at this point it's also up in the air that he was like, guys, I'm gonna go over here.
I don't need the drama. I'm
gonna go over here. This is, y'all figure your shit out. I'm gonna go over here. And they're like, yeah, no, we get it. You could go over there. We think you're great. You go over there. Like, I kind of feel like that's where things are at. I don't know for sure. Maybe he was really jonesing for it and they're like, no, buddy, you're not it. But like, it just feels like he's like, you know what? You guys have a lot going on, and I'm just going to back away slowly, and I'm going to stay over here in this sandbox where I know what I'm doing. I think, and we were saying this on our text chain, and I was talking to some other people about this, I think this is bigger than what are we doing with our Jonathan Majors problem. I don't think this is just a reaction to, oh, we might have to recast, or we might have to deal with Kang. Let's pull away from this. I think this is a sign... Everything that we've been reporting in the past several weeks, and it feels like every week our main topic is Marvel because because so much has been going on. This is not, oh, we've got one actor who might be problematic. Right. This is, we have a giant problem. We at one point were the most successful franchise in cinematic history. And now we have the lowest opening of any movie that we've come out with, and our fans are like fed up with us, and people are jumping ship on the Marvel train. Like, it's just not like they know all of this. So this is not, let's fix Jonathan Majors. I think this is a sign that we are taking a step back and fixing the entire multiverse saga. And I think that given that we have they have a little bit of space right now, we've got Deadpool 3 coming. I think all of us are generally pretty excited about that. And that movie is almost done. It's going to be what it's going to be. Everything else, I think, is let's take a step. Let's rethink this. And how do we, starting with Captain America 4, get to where we need to be? And we know we're going to do Secret Wars. We know we're going to collapse the multiverse and reboot everything and have a brand new Marvel Cinematic Universe for Phase 7.
Yeah.
But the way that we were planning on getting there, maybe they're getting way amped about Fantastic Four. They're going to like still do some Kang stuff, but pull it way back. Like, I just think this is a giant rethink of the rest of Phase 5 and Phase 6.
Okay. Shannon, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with Destin Daneil Crettin. I think it's more that there are so many more things ahead of Avengers Kang Dynasty. If that even happens now, I don't know. But I feel like there's so much stuff ahead of it that it's sort of like, I mean, it might be that situation where it's like, you know what, you didn't do anything wrong. We need to kind of rethink the big picture before we start going in and focusing in on the minutia. The minutia we want to focus on is way before this Avengers movie. Yeah. You know, I know we've all kind of heard that Wonder Man might be. Yeah. So the fact that they're now saying that it could potentially fall under the Marvel Spotlight banner that Echo is going to fall under, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Yeah. But he's allegedly not just focusing on that. He's going to focus on a Shang-Chi sequel. At Comic-Con this year, I'll be interested to see if Marvel shows up and to see what that potential panel could look like, if they even want to talk at that point, because you know what, Deadpool is supposed to come out in July. Yeah. And at that point, like nothing, I mean, no other movies are supposed to come out until February of 2025. Yeah. So again, I think this had very little to do with Destin Daneil Crettin. Yeah. And more than just a big picture issue.
It's not you, it's us type of situation. Yeah.
I was gonna say, to Shan, I didn't even think about this. He's right. Like, Marvel could arguably take a year off from Comic-Con next year and just not show up and be like, look, we have no news. We're doing things. We're gonna let you know next year. We're taking a break from everything. I think if they were smart, they would show up. Mm-hmm. I think they need to take this year and figure out by the time that we get to Comic-Con, they're going to know what they're doing, whatever that is. And if I was them, I would be, particularly because I bet DC is going to have a big presence this year at Comic-Con, kind of like launching their, like both DC and Marvel have a lot to hype people. DC needs to come out in July at Comic-Con and say, guys, the old world is dead. Everything from this point forward is new. Get amped. Let's show you stuff to get you hyped. Right. And Marvel kind of needs to show up and be like, hey guys, we heard you. We listened. Let us show you what's coming up ahead. Like, both of them kind of need that big pep rally. So it'll be interesting to see if they do it or not.
Yeah, I can see that with DC just goes. And here's Lobo. Anyway, let's move on. Two more things. We're running out of time here. Steven Yuen was revealed by Robert Kirkman in an interview with comic book artist David Finch to be playing Sentry in a movie. No one has announced. The MCU has not even announced it, but here's Robert Kirkman announcing it. Of course, Steven Yuen starring in the second season of Invincible, which is fucking great, by the way, if you're not watching it on Prime Video. So, gentlemen, your thoughts on Robert Kirkman revealing this about Steven Yuen?
Did you see it? Did you see the video?
I did.
So I was talking to Steven. He was like, I went into Marvel and they were putting me in my Sentry costume, and I guess I'm only playing superheroes that are yellow and blue. I don't think I revealed anything. This isn't anything people care about. This is not a big reveal. Maybe it is a reveal. I don't give a shit. I don't work for Marvel. And the internet was like, wait, what? What?
Yeah. Because Kirkman would hide secrets from about the Walking Dead from anybody, but apparently has no problem dropping someone else's secrets. So, but I like the casting. Do you guys like the casting? It's an interesting choice to go with Steven Yuen for this character.
Yeah, I mean, Sentry's a really, really interesting hero. Mm-hmm. Putting him in with the Thunderbolts, I'll be curious how much of Sentry's backstory they actually do. Because it seems like if the Thunderbolts, if allegedly it's supposed to have to do with the discovery of a material in a big man in the ocean. It'll be interesting how
I think that's more Captain America 4 than Thunderbolt, but we'll see.
Okay. But No, I think Steven Yeun's a terrific actor, but the Sentry, like that had been out there before that he
There
was
had been
allegedly,
rumors, but it hadn't
yeah,
been 100% confirmed. Kirkman is essentially confirming it now.
he is confirming something that I thought was already out there.
Yeah,
But
Well,
okay.
so did Kirkman, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, here like I think Steven Yeun's great. It's like you could cast him in anything, and I'm on board. Like I really think he's just fantastic. The Sentry thing makes me a little bit nervous, just basically because if you don't know, Sentry is basically like Superman in the MCU. If Superman had a split personality and his biggest villain was also him, and also the entire world forgot Sentry existed because of some weird like shit. Like it's a little bit, he's a little bit confusing. It's a little bit of a weird character if you're gonna really go for it and do that character and get him right. And I just worry that with everything else going on with Marvel right now, that as we were just talking about, between the multiverse being confusing, what are we doing with Kang? How does Kang fit in? Like all of these different pieces. Sentry is another very kind of confusing comic book character that could get really weird really fast. And it's just like, right now I'm like, do we need that? So we'll see, but I mean, Steven Yeun being in the MCU, I'm great with.
Yeah. Okay. One last thing. I agree with you. I'm going to be curious to see it, but I like what Steven Yeun can do, and it'll be fascinating, as you said, Shannon, to see how he works amongst the Thunderbolts, which I think is never going to happen, but that's my own personal opinion. On What If, real quick, before we wrap up, real quick thoughts on What If. Mike and I did the trailer reaction for that one. If you want to see another trailer reaction for the Geek Bites, Shannon and I did a trailer reaction for Percy Jackson and the Olympian. So your thoughts on the What If trailer? Let's go to Shannon, since Mike and I already did our reaction. Shannon, what are your thoughts on the What If trailer real quick?
I thought it was great. I thought it was so good. When people look back at Disney Plus series, it shocks me how short some folks' memories are. How What If just plunged down people's lists. I'm like, What If was a really, really good show.
Yeah,
and to get more of that, to open more corners of the multiverse, I'm super excited. Like that, and the fact that it's going to be right around the holidays. I'm like, great. This is what a great gift.
Yeah, agreed. Nine episodes dropping one day each from the 22nd through the 30th. Michael, any final words you want to say on What If that we didn't say in our reaction?
Yeah, just reiterating what I said in our trailer reaction, which is with everything going on in Marvel, I think What If is just like a nice relief. It's a breath of fresh air. It's enjoying all the characters in phases 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that we like without the heavy baggage of, are we on the right track? What does it all mean? Where are we going? This is just enjoying the characters and the world of the MCU that we love in a fun and different way each week. And like Shannon said, I think it's going to be a great gift. I'm very excited to just like spend every day of winter break just sitting here like watching nerdy shit.
I agree. Everything the gentleman said there. All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for this brand new episode of the Geek Buddies. We appreciate it madly. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at geek_buddies, on Instagram at _geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MK2. And if you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Hey, Mikey?
Listen, we know you're all busy, but when you get back from the Amazon hanging out with your mom who was researching spiders before she died, here is what you can do for us. You can smash that like button below, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page, leave your comments below, let us know what you think of everything going on in the DC universe, the Marvel universe, and everything else in geekdom. Let us know your thoughts. If you're listening to us on a podcast, go ahead and leave us some comments and some stars so we can go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great weekend. See all. Go back and watch all our content from this week if you haven't watched it. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Buddies!